So what is Laravel? It was introduced in 2011 by Taylor Otwell, which is a full stack web framework based on PHP language. So what is it meant by full stack web framework? So it means that with Laravel, you can build a full monolithic application without any third-party front-end or back-end frameworks, only with Laravel. Just you need to connect with databases and other things that require for the server. So why is Laravel so good and popular? Because it has elegant and developer-friendly syntax. And Laravel follows MVC architecture as default, which is commonly known as model view controller, which we will go through next slides. And one of the best features of Laravel is Eloquent ORM, where we can easily create relations with models and thus make the relationships much easier to handle and use. There is also comprehensive documentation, very user-friendly and easier to understand, which you can go through this laravel.com/docs. There is this robust ecosystem and also Laracast tutorial where co-developers of Laravel team and also other uh, third parties and also the community members also contribute to make the ecosystem more larger and also to help the people who are connected with this community. So you can also go to laracast.com to see the free tutorials made by the core team members and very experienced developers. There is also active community and support in laravel.io where you can get support easily and it is very interactive. So in recent years, Laravel is being more and more popular day by day. So as of 2023, Laravel is being used for more than 43% of projects among the PHP frameworks. And also based on GitHub starts, it is currently the most popular backend framework. And those are the sources, you can check it out. So Laravel architecture pattern is MVC pattern, like I said before. So what is MVC pattern? For any web application or solution, when a user submits a request, it first goes to the routing system. And after that, in Laravel, in the routing is passed to the controller. And after controller, it does the appropriate modifications to the request and it collects the data from model, and model is directly connected to the data source or the database by making the query much easier to understand. And after that, those modified data is again passed back to controller. And after that, with that modified data, that controller renders the view and it is sent to the user, to the browser. So first of all, Laravel routes. As you can see, any request needs some endpoints for web applications. Like for example, a basic web application runs in index.php. After that, depending on the routes, you can go to other routes and it is made really easy in Laravel. So a basic Laravel route looks like this. Route get users, and after that, the controller name, and then the method name, which is index. So for this presentation, I have made a sample project with block CRUD, and the main or the sample functions of the CRUD operation of block CRUD is composed of these routes like block index, block store, block show, block update, block destroy. And these routes can be easily made by this way. Also, there is a simpler way to do all the block routes easily in a single line, like you see in the middle of the page, like API resource, blocks, then block controller. So it will also make all the routes that is necessary. You don't need to write all those 6 lines. So if you want to see the currently made routes, you can just type PHP artisan route :list in the Laravel CLI, and it will give you some output like this, where you can see the route endpoints and where it is connected. Like in the below part, you can see that blocks.index is connected to block controller @index, meaning there is this block controller and there is an index method which is connected to blocks.index route. And if you go to API/blocks with some postman or some mobile application connected to this project, then you will go to that method. So in the same way, other routes like API/blocks, which is blocks.store and blocks.show, blocks.update, blocks.iter, every other route also works the same way, depending on its type, like get, post, put, delete, patch, etc. So next, this is Laravel migration. So what it does is it can be easily used to make the database schema or table schema using Laravel. So as you can see, there is a command like PHP addition make migration create blocks table. If you run this command, it will automatically create a migration file. In that migration file, you can then specify which columns or fields to add for this blocks table. Like you see, I made this blocks migration, and inside it I made ID, foreign ID, user ID, then title and description. And there are also other fields like timestamps and other things, constant and nullable. Those things are related to the attribute of the field itself. Like the ID means it is the primary auto incremented ID. The second one is foreign ID, which is connected to users table. It will automatically make a relation with the users table, and the constant makes the relation key. After that is title is string, meaning it will be a text type or var character type field. And there is also description, which is typed as text, which means it will be a text. And this nullable option meaning it is not required. It will be as nullable or it can be null. So after that, there is timestamps, which is automatically created at and updated at, which is really useful for most of the applications. So on the right side of the part, you see that after you like set up a basic Laravel project, and after that you make the migration and you run, you will see something output like this. So after that, let's talk about Laravel's model. So what is Laravel model? So this Laravel MVC pattern is starts with model because M means model, and this model is directly connected to database. For example, here is blog model created, which extends the default Laravel's model, eloquent model, and thus this blog is automatically connected to blogs table. And this way you can make other functions and also controllers. You can use this block model to easily connect it to blocks table and make some operations according to your need. There is also a commonly used CLI command, which is PHP addition make model to create the model. And there is also options like MCR, so which is used to uh, create some additional fields along with the model. Like if you run this command PHP addition make model, then block, and after that you use the options MCR, this will also create migration controller and also resource. And the capital R represents the request of the controller, which is used to validate the data that is come to the request. So you will see some output like this. So you see, when I run this command, it will create a model, then a migration, then two request files, and also the controller. All this is created with this single command. So it is really fast and easier to do. So now let's talk about controller. So on the right side, you see this is a typical Laravel controller, which is made for this blog research or blog controller. And you see there are some options or methods, index, store, show, update, delete, which is commonly used for the block CRUD. So you see, these are the things that I made for this block CRUD. And when the user is requested to see the block list, he will go to the route like API/blocks. Then he will be passed to this index method. In this index method, this block resource will be passed back. And if the user wants to create some block, he will be passed to API/block/create. Then he will come to this store method. And after validating the data using the store block request, that block data is used to create the block in the database. There is also this show method to show the block, individual block. There is also this update method to update a, sorry, there is also this update method to update a specific block data. There is also this delete method to delete any specific block data. So there is above this PSP partition make controller command by which you can also use the or create the controller with a single command. So Blade templating system has a very unique feature, like it can be used along with various frameworks, front-end frameworks, you name it, React, Swift, Livewire, Vue.js, and there are many others that can be easily connected with Laravel's Blade templating system. And then you can easily render the view with client side, server side. There are many options and flexibility to use it. So how to set up a basic Laravel project? When you want to start a new Laravel fresh project, you can just first of all install Composer, then run this command. After properly installing Composer in the Windows system, you have to run this command, Composer global require Laravel/installer. It will set up a Laravel installer. And with this, you can use the Laravel's built-in command like Laravel new blog app. It will create a new application with this name blog-app. So in this way, you can see in the black box, this is the typical output after running this command Laravel new blog app. Then you will be given some options to choose a starter kit. Like if you don't want to use any starter kit, you can use none. There are also options like Bridge, Jetstream. And if you use Bridge or Jetstream that are like used to that are used for different purposes. Like Jetstream has a very robust authentication system by default. And if you don't want to use this robust authentication system, you can use a simpler way with Bridge. But Bridge and Jetstream both gives very beautiful UI representations from the front end also. So after selecting Bridge, you will get to choose from Blade or React or Vue or only API. If you select only API, it will not integrate with React or Vue at first. Then you can only use the backend Laravel, and without any front-end view, you can use the APIs. Then you can also select the option for unit testing like paste or PHP unit. By default, PHP unit is set. In this way, you can easily set up a new Laravel fresh project. For example, this blog app project. So after configuring the Laravel project and also doing the necessary things for this block CRUD, like making the controller routes, view, even a view or not the view, but other things like migrations and all, after doing all the necessary things for this block CRUD, you can run this project in many ways. There are two simpler ways. One of them is to make a host, and then you can run the project in this way. You have to make this host 127.0.0.1 and blog app.test, the local URL you want to use this project. Then properly setting up it in hosts file, you can run this project like blog app.test in browser. There is also easier way. In that way, you don't have to set up any kind of hosting, because in this way, Laravel automatically does it, and you can run the project easily by running this command PHP artisan serve. This will run the project in 127.0.0.1:8000 or localhost /8000 in your browser. So that's the basic setup for a Laravel fresh project. focusing on only API and Laravel backend. So now let's talk about REST APIs. So what are REST APIs? REST stands for Representational State Transfer and was created by computer scientist Roy Fielding. REST is a software architecture that imposes conditions on how an API should work. So if we use APIs, we know that there are some bulky command like things in the API documentations that we have to go through. After that, implementing a API is very critical for the basic purposes. So what a REST API does, it made some uh, static or fixed procedures how this API should work. So there are few methods like get, post, put, patch, delete. There are also other less used options like less used methods like options and head. But commonly used for CRUD operations is this get, post, put, delete, etc. So in this way, following this REST protocol or this software architecture, one can easily get connected to a server using API calls. And you can also pass or get the data in JSON or XML format. So using Laravel application and making the proper things with this blog post, you can then define those routes like I previously showed you. Then you can access these routes using like Postman or any other server related softwares. Then you can visit these routes and do the proper operations, and you will see using login, register, blogs, dot store, show, update, delete, you can easily connect with the project and do your operations. So for a typical Laravel application with REST API, you can do things like when you register, you will give some email address, and then along with the email address, you will give some passwords. Then the user will be created, and after that, you can log in with that username or email and password. So after login, you will get a access token. Laravel by default uses this Sanctum token, which is both stateless and stateful. It can be used in both ways depending on your situation. And using this access token, you can now access other authenticated routes for the blogs, because without this access token, you will not be able to access these routes because they are protected for authentication. So after getting this access token, along with this access token, you can access these routes. And what you will have to do is pass this access token as a bearer token in the authorization header. So in this way, you can get the blogs list, you can store new blog, show a specific blog, update a specific blog, and also delete a specific blog. So lastly, the Laravel ecosystem and community is very large and strong, and it is like a building and going up and up. And there are various third-party integrations also. Like if you want to do some payment related operations, you can easily do it with Stripe. There is also server related things like Dask, and there is also broadcasting system like Echo. There is also various types of things like for properly debugging Telescope, for doing social login easily, you can use Socialite. There are various things you can easily get with Laravel ecosystem, and some of them are made by the Laravel core team members, and others are made by third-party developers all over the world. There is also that laracast.com, which I showed in the introduction page, and you will see these are the like basic contents you can learn, where there are very tutorials for these things: Alpine.js, AWS, Billing, Blade, Docker, CSS, GraphQL, Liveware, Nova, PHP Storm, React, Redis, you name it. There are various free tutorials for easily getting used to Laravel and using this ecosystem properly.